Welcome to the Melinda Eitzen Show. I'm Melinda. Today we have with us fabulous lawyer Anita Savage, and Anita is here to talk about prenups and postnups, and we're so glad to have her. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, you're so great. One thing about you that I know is you really have embraced the more amicable, friendly approach to all things family law. Is that accurate?
Yes. I think litigation hurts families and children.
And you did a lot of litigation
I
in your
did.
career.
Yes.
How long have you been practicing?
I have been practicing for almost 30 years now.
Oh, you're
It's
right behind me.
cool.
Not to age us, but
Yeah.
so we were going to talk about prenups and postnups.
Yeah.
Which you can't litigate that. Well, I guess you can when they're trying to bust them later.
Right.
So
Right.
they need to be well drafted
Yes,
for that
for sure.
purpose. But as far as negotiating them, what's the way you recommend that people go about negotiating a prenup or a postnup?
Sure. So I love to do prenups and postnups through the collaborative process. I find that it ends up with a more holistic and thoughtful contract.
Yes.
And the first thing I do is I send out a list of questions. And what's really interesting to me, especially for the prenups, is these are all questions that they hadn't ever asked themselves before.
Now, who are you sending the questions to?
So I'm sending them to my new clients. Oftentimes what will happen is that somebody will call and say, me and my wife or me and my girlfriend are thinking about getting married. We really want to avoid having a disastrous divorce. We want to make these decisions now. And so we think we understand what we want. We think we, have agreed terms. And so we just need somebody to write it up. Okay.
And when people call me, they say, we want a prenup. And they think that means something.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you want? Why do you want a prenup? And they're like, because we want one.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yes. And so the questions that I have are designed to ask them, why do they want a prenup?
And they don't even know what to think about.
Yes.
So that's great. So
Yeah.
how many questions are there?
I would say there's probably 20 questions.
A lot of questions.
A lot of them. Yeah. Yeah. Like, why do you want to do this? What is it that you're seeking to protect? Okay. Do either of you guys think that you're going to stop working to raise kids? How are you going to deal with the fact that that person might need some time to get back up and running? What do you want to do about the division of property? Do you guys want to have community property created during the marriage? If you do, how do you want to think about having it divided between the two of you? Will there be a need for support, especially if somebody has gotten injured or has stayed at home for 15, 20 years, right? The law is not created, at least this is my theory, here in Texas, the law is not created for everybody, right? It's created for a certain sort of demographic. And the things that people need to be able to thrive and provide to their kids post-divorce are just not in the family code, but it doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. I like what you said about the law is not created for everyone. And the reason you're saying that is the point of a prenup is we're changing what would happen at divorce or death.
Yes.
The marriage is going to end by divorce or death.
Right.
We're changing what's going to happen from what would have happened without the prenup under the law.
Correct. Right.
So that's why you're saying
Yes.
the law isn't for everyone and most people don't even know what that would be.
Right.
That's
Yes.
why they don't know.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
say, why do you want a prenup? I don't know. Somebody told me I should get one.
That's right.
I had a guy, a football player, and he was like, all the football players in the locker room said I needed one.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And then we're like, but why? What are you trying to achieve?
What are you trying to? Yes. Right. What's your goal
I don't know.
here?
They told me I
What's
needed
your
one.
goal here? Yes. Exactly.
So those questions are great.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like it's hard for people when they're trying to be celebratory and plan their wedding and to be talking about a potential divorce? They hope they never divorce, right? How do you handle that?
So I handle it very, very differently. This is what I tell my client is let's all sit at the table together and talk about this stuff. Because when we're talking about this stuff together and you genuinely love each other, you want what's best for each other, right? You're making decisions with each other's best intentions at heart. Okay.
Mhm.
And so when I ask the question, hey, what are you going to do if you get injured? What if you can't work anymore? You know, what do you guys want to do about it? And they're so quick to say like, oh, well, we would get the right kind of medical care for them. We would figure out what we're going to do with
Mhm.
insurance. We're going to figure out, we'll make it work, and those questions I think help the two of them decide, is this actually right? Because sometimes we see that they do have different opinions of what needs to happen. Or somebody is very restrictive, whereas somebody, wants to spend a lot of money and it causes conflict. And so let's deal with that now.
Clear it out.
Yeah, let's figure that out now, right?
Get out.
Yeah, yeah. I have yet to have somebody who has been at the table together, okay,
Mhm.
that said this wasn't worth coming to the table and going through this. It's not necessarily easy decisions,
Mhm.
but it doesn't all have to be made at once. We're coming back a couple of times like, hey, why don't you guys think about this?
So when you
And
say
talk
coming
about
to the
this.
table,
Yeah.
you're talking about in the collaborative process. Explain a little bit more, because what is
Sure.
very, very common and what you and I saw historically is someone says, I want a prenup.
Yep.
One lawyer drafts up
Ugh.
some draconian,
Yes.
horrible
Right,
thing
right,
that only
right.
benefits their client,
Uh-huh.
and they send it to the other person
Yep.
and they tell them to get a lawyer.
Yes.
Nobody's had any of the conversation you're talking about.
Right.
So in collaborative, what do we do instead of that?
So what we do is first I send out the list of questions, right? Like, I need you guys to be talking about this. Then me, my client, the other attorney and the husband or wife, we all sit together and we start talking about these things, so that we can create for them the financial future that they want to have, and to be thinking about disaster planning, right?
Yes.
And also future proofing and avoiding the fight, because you guys have already made those decisions. And so if you are in the unwanted position of having to have a divorce, the marriage just doesn't work no matter how hard you've tried. You're not fighting about the things that really people are so stressed about during a divorce, which is, how much money am I going to have? What part of the estate am I going to have?
The prenup hopefully simplifies that.
Correct.
They've already made a lot of those decisions. It's just going to be making it so at
Correct.
divorce.
Yes.
That's one of the
They already
benefits.
know what to expect. Right. Like,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. And the hard part about divorce, I think, is because, number one, it's confusing. It's very, very legal, right? And the law doesn't make sense in I think a lot of the times, right? So people are very scared. And they're also scared about attorneys. They're scared that their attorney may be not telling them the truth because they want to increase their fees or create a fight that isn't there. And so they've solved that on the front end. The other thing that I like to do in my prenups is say that in the event that we have any disagreement, let's go back into the collaborative process to solve it before we go and hire litigation attorneys.
Okay, so to get in the collaborative process, everyone has to sign a participation agreement.
That's
collaborative
correct.
Participation agreement. That puts us into it.
Yep.
Do you ever use neutrals? Because that's very common in collaborative law. Do you ever use neutrals when you're negotiating a prenup or a postnup in collaborative?
I have not had to yet. And it's because the people who've been coming to me are the young urban professionals who are getting married, and they don't have a whole lot of wealth right now. But they want to know what their options are. They want to understand what the law is. They want to understand how it would affect their family once they get married. But I think that that's wonderful to have somebody who's neutral and helping them make those decisions when there is a large estate, especially for a postnup, I would think.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've definitely used the neutrals, and I echo and agree with everything you're saying. When I first started doing collaborative, which was in 2001, so a long time ago, when it came to Texas, the first thing I thought was, I've kind of been doing this in prenups, because before collaborative came to Texas, when that
Mm-hmm.
situation would come up and somebody would send me a prenup, I'd say, we don't even know what they want.
Yes.
Like, what are their goals?
Right. Right.
And so I would try to get the other lawyer and the two parties to agree. Let's all just sit down and talk through the goals. I was already doing that in prenups because I just couldn't get my head around how do we draft a document when we don't know what we're trying to be.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And in many cases, if I could get the other person in the room whose family is making him get a prenup, I could get a better deal because he really loved this woman he was about to marry, and he didn't really want this draconian thing, and he didn't even understand what the family lawyer had drafted. So I love the concept and practice of doing this, but I have done it with teams, and it's nice because it is kind of emotional to talk about. I might get a divorce someday when I'm happily trying to plan my wedding, you know?
Right.
That's why people avoid it. That's why they wait till the last minute.
Right.
Then we're all in a fire drill. Sometimes I do postnups because we can't do the fire drill.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm like, hey, you're getting married in a month.
Yeah.
That's not realistic, but we can do a postnup and achieve the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
Let's just wait till you get back from your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Then let's do it.
That's right. That's right.
So, you
Certainly.
should try it with neutrals.
Okay, I will. I absolutely will. Circling back to the traditional way of doing the prenup, right? Where you get this contract, somebody else's attorney has drafted it, and it doesn't say, oftentimes it doesn't say what they think it says. So that's number one, okay?
Sure.
And then when you explain that to them, what I'll ask is, what do you think this is supposed to say? What do you and your husband or wife think that this is going to say, right? And then after I've read it, I will explain to them oftentimes, like, it doesn't say what you think it says. And they get mad, right? And now suddenly there's a fight between a couple that was caused by attorneys. Like, the couple isn't fighting about it. It's the attorney.
The lawyer probably didn't have any good direction.
Right.
They were told, draft a prenup, and they just thought, well, that means no community property. One person gets everything they earn. The other person gets everything they earn. And I forgot that we've already had agreement. One of the spouses isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Right. That's exactly right. Yes. Yes.
One thing that your questions illustrate is the challenge of prenup work and postnup work is it's a big crystal ball exercise.
Yes.
We do not know, especially with young people. Well, what if they are injured? What if they have children? What if they don't? What if one of them gets, a better job and the other person quits their job to follow them around the country with, there's so many unknowns.
Yep.
And that makes it hard because you're kind of trying to plan for each unknown.
Yeah.
I like your question idea, though. I'm going to ask you to send me your questions.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And it's transformed over time, right?
Yes.
Because something will happen. I'll be like, oh, that's a great thing to talk about.
Because it's a faster way to explain when I'm trying to tell them they don't know what they're saying.
Yep.
It's like, answer all these questions and then we'll know what we're talking about.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
It will illustrate this isn't simple. The other thing I get is just make it simple. Make it simple. Like, well, it's a 40-page document. It's not simple. And you're telling me all these convoluted things you want to do that are not simple.
Right.
So stop thinking it's going to be simple.
Yeah.
If it was simple, you wouldn't need all this exercise we're going through, right?
Yep.
Okay, I have to tell you one case I have right
Please.
now. So the people, before they met me long ago, 30 years ago, they did a prenup.
Mm-hmm.
And then the prenup expired on its own in 7 years.
Oh, really?
Which I'd never seen before.
Okay.
An expiration date.
Yeah.
But they decided they didn't want it to fully expire. They wanted to strike a new deal.
Oh, so they have to come back to the table?
So they came back to the table and we did a postnup at 7 years. That was in 2014.
Okay.
And now they've hired us again in 2026 to do the third version.
That's actually really smart.
And they've been married 30 something years now. But some of the things they were worried about, it's 30 years later.
Right.
The crystal balling is no longer needed.
Yeah.
The world has happened.
Yes.
They're not worried about as many things.
Right.
They want to simplify it.
Right.
They want to
They've
make
probably
it
got
more
kids now and grandkids
grown.
and
right. So
right,
they
right.
want to just make it simple and And
Yeah. And then it almost becomes estate planning.
it is.
Yeah.
So we're meeting with their estate planning lawyer. So I have had cases, more than one, where we involve the estate planning
Yeah, I love it.
lawyer in the prenups and postnups, especially with the uber wealthy,
Yeah. Mhm.
the uber
Yeah.
wealthy second marriage, grown children, worrying about not, cutting out your children
Right.
for your new wife, new husband. If the family's worried about the gold digger situation, then the death part, I tell them, look, I'm not an estate planning lawyer. We have to involve your estate planning lawyer so I don't mess up your estate planning.
Right.
That we want this to be consistent with your estate planning.
Yep.
But the difference between just the estate planning alone and putting it in the postnup or the prenup is you can change your estate planning alone. It's unilateral.
Yes, that's right.
But if you really want it to be contractual, you have to also put it in here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So in what circumstances do you use the postnup?
Yes. Okay. So postnups are so interesting.
Uh-huh.
Similar to a prenup, it's really called a marital property agreement,
That's
right? The postnup, but shorthand, we call it a postnup. I've had some interesting circumstances where people have a major disagreement about money.
Yes.
And they don't really want to get divorced, but they can't go on this way.
Yes, that's exactly
One example
right.
was I had like wheeler dealer husband. He was deal maker. He would make 15 million and lose 15 million. Like he was high risk.
Yeah,
but successful, but not always.
Yeah.
Because the next deal, it's high risk.
Yeah.
And she was just not wanting to be on that roller coaster anymore. But they didn't really want to get divorced, but she just couldn't stand the risk.
Yeah.
So we did a postnup and we separated some money for her permanently. So no matter what the roller coaster, she has 3 million protected.
Yeah. Right.
And that also hopefully protects her from the risk.
Yep.
Because it states, her debts are hers, his are his, and that saved their marriage.
Yep. Yes, I've done the same thing. Where, for the one that is the wage earner or the one that's the saver, it is so scary to them that all of this money gets spent out, right? And so putting some buffers in place and saying, we're going to put this aside for you so that, he or she can't spend it in the ways that you're worried about and you can retire. So yes, I've done the same thing. The other way that I've used a postnup is when, for cultural reasons or religious reasons, people don't want to get a divorce.
Yes.
It can create an effective financial divorce. Yes, exactly.
A real
exactly
divorce.
Right. Yes. And then they're still able to hold their heads high. We're married, but they're
kind of living not married.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Yeah. And
they have agreements and things in place. Yeah, that's smart and interesting, because there is a risk of staying married for a cultural or religious reason. You could be holding yourself open for exposure of the other person's. Maybe they're a gambler. Maybe they're high risk. Maybe they're committing fraud. You don't really want to be on the bandwagon for that.
Yep.
But you feel so strongly about not getting divorced. So it could provide good protections for people in that regard.
Yeah. And then there's rules, and we're not modifying it later. And we're, unless it's agreed.
Right. Unless we both want to.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yes.
I know I was surprised when they called us. I remembered them. 2014 is a while back. I remembered them very clearly because one, they kept saying, it's so simple, make it simple. And I'm like, what you're doing is
right. Yeah. Right.
One advantage to listing, like one thing that they did and one thing that people will do is list all the stuff, meaning the sentimental stuff, the jewelry, the guns, the artwork, the collectibles.
Yes.
And they had very detailed lists of, if we divorce or die, there's not going to be a fight about those now.
Yeah.
And they're going to divorce or die. Their marriage is going to end one way or the other. And one thing that I've seen now that we have older people divorcing, like elderly, 80s, 90s,
yes, yeah,
getting divorced, is sometimes they've kind of lost their mind, one person, and you're really divorcing the adult parent.
Yes.
I mean, the adult child.
Yeah.
So my client is no longer making a deal with her husband. He really can't make a deal.
Yeah.
So either it's an adult child kind of acting,
Yep.
or if it's really bad, like they really don't have the ability to contract, then sometimes we have to go get a guardian appointed. Yeah. And those people, especially guardian, they have a fiduciary duty. They don't care about the sentimentality of your stuff.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
They have to know, well, that diamond is expensive in that ring.
Yeah.
I have to figure out if it's community property and make that so.
Yeah.
So it's worth the effort to list all that sentimental stuff to just not have a fight about it later.
Yes.
Because you can't say, I trust he would never want my jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he might not be the one you're having the conversation with later.
Right. That's really true. Wow. I've never thought about that. And that is really, really true.
Older people used to not get divorced.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Why do you think that has changed?
I think, well, I just had a older couple divorce. And what happened in that particular case was that she'd had a health issue and realized that all of her life she had made decisions based on other people.
Life is too short. Kind of.
Yeah. And she said, for the next, 5 to 10 years, I just want to do what I want to do.
And it's finally socially acceptable.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For that generation.
For sure. Yes.
Whereas 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that generation, absolutely not. They just couldn't even wrap their heads around it.
Yeah.
But these people who are now in their 80s, 90s, it's been socially acceptable more of their life.
Uh-huh.
So they see it as an option when it was not an option before.
Yes. Agreed. Yes. And their children are grown, right?
Yes.
So the reasons a lot of people stayed married for the children,
right,
that's no longer applicable. No. And honestly, I think sometimes the kids say to their parents, like, why are you fighting?
Yes. Yes.
Let's deal with this. It's okay for you guys to get a divorce.
Yeah. Give them permission.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
We have one right now. They were like in their late 80s when they got married.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So now they're in their early 90s getting divorced.
Oh my
And usually I think, what is the point?
Right.
But the point is somebody's being mean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do you want to live with someone who's being mean?
Yeah.
And maybe the care is very expensive late in your life.
It is.
Right?
Yep.
So the money could go poof away.
Yeah.
If it isn't handled properly.
Yes.
So the money becomes more important.
It does.
And who wants to have somebody be mean to them when they're 90?
Right. Yes. Yes. Life is too short. That's exactly right. Yep.
Be nice to each other.
Yes, please be nice to each other. Yes.
So in the collaborative process, when you're handling a prenup, how many meetings do you typically have?
Usually 3, right? So the first one is to understand, after the two of them have read the questions and talked about it.
Yeah.
What have you guys thought about and what have you guys decided? And then the second one is usually, what do we want to do about this? What do we want to do about that? What do we want to do about this? What do we want to do about that? And what I mean by that is that every couple is unique, right? And so what they've told us in the first meeting, it guides how we're creating this contract between them. And we know that, for example, in one of the cases, the husband's parents they'd been immigrants. They had worked hard their entire lives and had created this, a couple of rental properties. Mm-hmm. And it was really important to him and to her that those continue to be his separate property no matter what. And because we knew that, we wanted to get some input from him in terms of, like, what do you want to do if you end up selling it?
In a situation where maybe they have a unique fact pattern from their background. And everybody does, really, right? Yeah. Every case is specific. I've had cases where maybe they want to leave a certain amount of money to their children.
Yes. Right.
And it might not be children of this relationship.
Right.
How do you handle that when one person is like, look, my legacy is the most important thing, but obviously the other person also wants to be taken care of financially?
Sure. So we talk about different options, right? So just like we do in collaborative divorce cases, we develop options and give them solutions to think from and to think, to choose from. And that oftentimes will get them to start thinking, oh, well, how about if we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, where we put some
Yes.
money aside for you? Because I understand, like, we're a team now. And
Yes.
so you don't want everything that we're building to be going to my kids. I get it. And so, yeah, we just option develop and give them proposed solutions, and they can think about it and come back to us.
I had one case where they created a living trust.
Yep.
And all the money was put in the living trust if the husband died first. And then the wife could use as much of it as she needed for
Yep.
her living, but somebody else was kind of the trustee of it. And then upon her death, it would pass to the children.
Yep.
And that was meant to both meet her needs of being fully supported. She could live whatever lifestyle she wanted,
Mhm.
but it allowed him to feel better that, one, she wouldn't be taken advantage of by a new third party.
Mm.
The money wouldn't be left to her new husband.
Uh-huh.
It would be preserved for their children together.
Yes.
And so it was a creative solution. He had concerns about her ability to manage money,
Yeah.
which I don't know if they were legitimate concerns or not.
Yeah.
Not for me to say, but that was part of his concern.
That was.
And there's always the concern, especially with elderly people, that a third party could come in and take advantage.
So that happened to my family.
Oh.
So my dad died, and my mother fell victim to basically one of those like swindlers, right? That said that he was in love with her.
Oh, no.
And that would have been something that would have been very, very protective.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
To have somebody. And, as I think back, my dad was a little worried that something might happen. So he created a trust for their stuff, but she raided the trust. It would have been helpful for her to have had
someone else be the trustee.
Yes, to help her make these right decisions, right?
Yes.
And because she didn't have somebody like that, everything was gone. And her tax bill was higher than her remaining net worth.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So it happens. It happens. And it is a really, really sad, sad thing. And the people, they're very, very sophisticated. Like, they know exactly what it is that you need to hear.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The scammers.
Yeah.
A lot of very intelligent people fall
All the
prey to
time.
these scams.
Yeah.
And people are embarrassed to say it, so they don't tell anyone.
That's exactly right.
But the truth is that they're very sophisticated and good, and they're manipulating people when they're vulnerable. You know what that inspires me about is your list of questions makes me think we could also create a list of examples. Like, that was an example.
Yeah.
That's a very unique example. Yes. And it wouldn't even come up. I wouldn't even think to tell someone that example if they weren't stating a similar concern.
Yep.
But we could create a document of a lot of different examples that we've seen in our cases like that. And then they could be like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I will have number B.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a great idea too. I really do.
To just help them see different things we've seen, because the challenge of this work is there's so many options.
Yeah.
It's a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's easy for people to think that there's two options. We're going to have no
way
community
or that way,
or
yes.
all community,
Mm-hmm.
when there's really a million others.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a good project. I'll share my list with you.
I'll do the same.
But I think that would be helpful. And that's the advantage of our years of practice. You're 30, I'm 32 years. So we're very similar, is you just have an opportunity to see a lot of cases.
A lot. Yes. Yeah.
See a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
And when you're young in your practice, you just haven't had that yet.
Yeah.
So you don't know all the options.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a list like this that I'm talking about. So that will be our project.
Yes. That would be a great project. I love when I learn something new, like an option that I hadn't ever thought of. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yes.
Add it to my toolbox.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a list because I don't even remember my own,
Yeah.
all the things until we start talking. Then I
Yeah.
was like, oh, one time we did this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
So how would people find you?
So they can find me online at www.divorcedifferently.com.
Oh, that's great. And you service all of Texas or North Texas or the DFW area or
So
what?
I generally service the DFW area.
Yes.
I do have a couple of cases that are in like Bowie County and other places, but they're collaborative. So
Yes.
we know they're not going to go to court. And so it's
Yes.
okay. And
You can help anybody
yeah,
on Zoom.
anywhere. Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
collaborative. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you for being on the show, Anita.
Thank you.
It was great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Hopefully you got some ideas of how to approach prenups and postnups differently and learned a little bit about it's a little more complicated than it sounds. But we're here to help. Please tune in next time.